part 2 of this lesson, we will discuss the PDCA approach to structured experimentation for continuous improvement. The PDCA, or the Plan, Do, Check, Act, is a cycle of improvement that perhaps many of us are quite familiar with. PDCA stands for Plan, Do, Check, and Act. This four-step approach is the most widely used methodology for implementing continuous improvement. In the context of Lean, it can be used for scientific thinking or structured experimentation for implementing incremental change. Here, in Plan, we do what we call prediction, where we try to come up with testable hypotheses. But in Do, we conduct the experiment, where we put most of our action in. In Check, we check for evidence and collect facts and data to learn. And finally, in Act, we evaluate and adjust based on what we have learned through this cycle of PDCA. The first step in the PDCA is Plan, where we'll develop a testable hypothesis. In order to do this, we go back to reviewing the target condition and comparing it to the current condition. Identify obstacles and its root causes in reaching the target condition, and develop testable hypotheses or action plans to address the obstacle. In Plan, we compare the target condition, the expected performance, with the current level of performance to understand the gap we are trying to bring close. This gap is the problem that needs to be addressed and improved upon. The kata board can help us understand this gap by documenting what needs to be happening in the target condition and compare it to what is happening in the actual condition now. Once the gap or problem has been identified, the team has to further understand what are the reasons that is causing the current situation. The team can apply root cause analysis as a methodical approach in understanding and identifying possible causes, so that hypotheses or testable actions can be generated to try to get to the target condition. We can practice identifying root causes through RCA methodologies such as cause and effect diagram and the tree diagram of the YY analysis. When the RCA has been done, the team can now develop potential solutions to be tested. The team can brainstorm solution ideas to try and address the root causes to shorten the gap. For each of the solutions ideated, the team should determine what is the expected result from implementing solutions. This way, the team can check whether the ideas tried will result to the expected outcome. The team should also agree on what actions to take and who will carry out the implementation of testing solutions. The team can use the PDCA cycles board to note down what solutions and actions will be tried to address a certain obstacle and what is the expected outcome of those actions. By using this board, the team can keep track of the actions tried and the outcome of the respective actions. Once the team has identified what solutions to be tested, we will now enter the Do step in the PDCA cycle. When conducting the experiment, we need to communicate well with the team and assign clear responsibilities to everyone involved. Get everyone's buy-in by explaining the rationale behind the activities being conducted. And be sure to meet regularly to monitor the implementation of the solutions being tested. Note down what happened during the implementation, such as what good practices were observed, what could have been done better, and if there are any obstacles that were encountered. In the PDCA cycles board, this is the portion where the experiment is conducted and we observe the process and the results. After implementing our tests, the next step in the PDCA cycle is check. In this step in our structured approach, the team will review and evaluate what has happened during the Do step or the implementation. Here, we review the results of the implementation by collecting facts and data and analyze what happened. Review the results of the solutions being implemented. Did the team observe any change? Did the team observe the results expected from the solution? What is evaluated on check? The team should look at the results and possibly ask these questions about the implementation. Questions such as, how much was the gap between desired and actual reduced? Were the plans effective in addressing the causes you targeted? What do customers tell you now that the changes are in place? Has enough progress been made, or do you need to go back and try other solutions? Were there any other unintended benefits or negative side effects during the implementation? The team can also compare before and after performance to check if the implementation of the solutions resulted in any changes. This can be even done through graphical means using different charts such as control chart, Pareto chart, or the frequency plots. We can make use of the PDCA cycles board to note down the team's findings during the check stage. Here we put down what the team observed and what was learned during the cycle of experimentation. Finally, on ACT, the team now should iterate from what was learned during the cycle of PDCA. For the solutions that work, the team should incorporate the changes necessary to the process to ensure that the positive changes will stick. But if not enough improvements have been made to close the gap, the team should continue on the PDCA experiment and try other solutions that may possibly close the gap further. We need to assess the problem-solving process and make further improvements by testing other solutions. As the team cycles through improvements, remember also to acknowledge the team efforts and celebrate wins and successes so that the team can continue to be motivated in doing continuous improvement. Back on the PDCA cycles board, the team can use this board to help practice now, iterating through solutions and repeat the PDCA cycle for continuous improvement and use this as a structured way to do experimentation. To reiterate the key messages from part 1 of this lesson, there are 3 key ideas that should be emphasized while practicing experiment mindset in doing process improvement. First key idea is that every experiment teaches you something new, and every new lesson you learn increases your capability to accomplish great things. Second, you learn the most from what doesn't go well. And third, when conducting a PDCA experiment, you should always predict what will happen, run the experiment, and check the results against your prediction.